A smaller person, anything can happen. Anybody can be knocked out. Because remember, the chin don't lift weights. That's what I always say.
As heavyweights as the sparring, or bigger people, like from middleweight to heavyweight. And the thing is, don't be surprised, okay? This is a photo. This is a photo of one of the bigger guys that he was sparring.
Floyd Mayweather was reportedly stunned after witnessing Gervonta Davis knock out a heavyweight during a sparring session ahead of the Jake Paul fight. Mayweather remarked that many people still fail to realize that size alone doesn't determine the outcome in boxing. A bigger man can go down just as easily if the other fighter has the right mix of speed, power, and timing, he explained. Floyd added that Davis once again proved this point by flooring someone far above his weight class, a reminder of how dangerous skill and precision can be, regardless of size.
Anybody can be knocked out, so I don't put nothing past nobody. I can be knocked out. Hit me from the blind side. That's most time how fighters get knocked out, with the hook. You can't see a hook coming because it comes from the blind side. But as far as with boxing, I don't really need to beef with. I really don't need to beef with nobody in a sport of boxing. Even though it could be some people I really don't like. I don't need to beef with nobody. They ain't got what I got. They boxers. I'm a businessman. And then on the outside, most time a motherfucker got beef with me because they ain't got what I got.
Gervonta Davis has spent much of his career testing himself against larger opponents, long before this highly anticipated matchup. His coaching team believes that facing heavier fighters in training helps him stay explosive, composed, and efficient under pressure. This approach sharpens his footwork and forces him to rely on timing and accuracy rather than sheer power on the other side. Jake Paul has been sparring with smaller, quicker boxers to prepare for Davis's speed and movement. His team's goal is to help him adapt to facing someone who fights with agility and sharp reactions. Both camps understand that size alone doesn't decide a winner, strategy and execution do. Davis's conditioning has been shaped by years of high-intensity training focused on endurance and control, while Paul is developing techniques to close distance and create effective angles. As they continue preparing, it's becoming clear that this fight will be determined less by physical dimensions and more by intelligence, discipline, and tactical precision inside the ring.
Or bigger people, like from middleweight to heavyweight. And the thing is, don't be surprised, okay? This is a photo. This is a photo of one of the bigger guys that he was sparring. But in the past, like maybe a few years ago, he was fighting a guy in Mayweather's camp. He was a bigger guy. I think he was like a middleweight or something like that. He was whooping his ass. One time he was like on live whooping a bigger guy's ass. He's just beating bigger guys like middleweights and stuff. He's done that in sparring forever. Remember this story? I've brought it up a million times and I've showed this clip a million times, but on Ellie Set Back. This story of this guy saying how Gervonta Tank Davis knocked out this heavyweight.
Tell me the story. What happened?
Tank, what's the one boy name?
No, don't say a name. I don't want to embarrass anyone.
Oh, no, you're right.
But tell people what happened.
Man, I was about to spar. Before I was about to spar Tank, he was sparring this big boy.
A heavyweight.
Heavyweight boy. And Tank hit that nigga. He hit him so hard that he was on the top of the rope just like this. I'm like, I thought he died. Like, I ain't gonna lie to you. I thought he died.
Hey, I've seen him knock out some heavyweights. You might knock all that ass out now.
You knocked out a heavyweight?
Yeah.
How was that?
Because I hit harder than Wilder.
Now, granted, the heavyweights that Gervonta Tank Davis is whooping and sparring is not like, all-time great heavyweights, all right? And it shouldn't be. But he's sparring the level of heavyweight that, more experienced than Jake Paul, right? But Jake Paul has beaten those heavyweights himself, all right? I'm thinking that is the caliber of heavyweight that Gervonta Tank Davis is sparring, but he's whooping their asses. And that's a good thing. I feel with Jake Paul sparring Raymond Ford, to me, it looked like Raymond Ford got the best of him. It looked like Jake Paul was a little exhausted, and it looked like Raymond Ford wasn't. It looked like Jake Paul was a little disappointed in his performance, and Raymond Ford was trying to give him a pick-me-up. Like, just kind of letting him out. No, we do this and do that. It just looked like Raymond Ford was in a confident, secure place, more dominant place, the more alpha out the two in the ring. And that's Raymond Ford. That ain't Gervonta Davis. I love Raymond Ford. I have him on my fighters list. But still, I don't think anyone thinks he's as skillful or as powerful as Gervonta Tank Davis.
Reports coming out of training camp suggest that Gervonta Davis has been turning heads in the gym, with witnesses claiming he's been dropping sparring partners who are noticeably taller and stronger. Those who've seen it describe moments where much bigger fighters struggle to stay on their feet after taking clean shots. What impressed onlookers wasn't just Davis's power, but the precision behind it, the way a perfectly placed punch could change everything once he found his opponent's chin. According to insiders, many who entered the ring expecting to overpower him quickly learned how costly that assumption could be. Word from the gym is that Davis's power seems to translate well beyond his weight class, adding to his confidence and sending a quiet warning to anyone who underestimates him. His compact stance, explosive upper body movement, and tight technique allow him to generate serious force in an instant, a combination that makes his knockout potential dangerous no matter who stands across from him.
Look at this. Gervonta Davis knocked out heavyweight in brutal sparring session. And it just makes me think, you're willing to go spar with heavyweights, but you're not willing to go fight people that you should be fighting. You know what I mean? You're fighting Lamont Roach. His sparring partners was like, man, I was about to spar Tank. He was sparring this big boy, a heavyweight boy. And Tank hit him so hard, he was on the ropes like this, hanging. I thought he died. I was like, man, I hope you don't do this stuff to me. When Davis asked to confirm whether it was true, the WBA lightweight champion said, stuff be happening. Best not to get in there with me. That's it. This guy has all the skills in the world to knock out even heavyweights in sparring, and yet he won't fight Shakur Stevenson. He won't fight Teofimo Lopez. He won't fight anyone that he needs to fight to become great. He's fighting Frank Martin and Lamont Roach. You know what I mean? It's just truly crazy. But hey, it's his career. If he wants to just make money, the easiest money that he can without fighting the hardest competition. So,
well-known boxing analyst recently pointed out that judging Gervonta Davis solely by his most recent performance overlooks his long history of dominant finishes. Even on nights when he doesn't meet expectations, Davis consistently shows composure and endurance, qualities that come only from years of experience at the highest level. His ability to stay calm under pressure and adapt mid-fight is something that separates elite professionals from rising contenders. Jake Paul, to his credit, has shown heart and determination, but he hasn't yet faced the kind of high-stakes scenarios where one small mistake can end a fight. For Davis, those tough moments have become valuable lessons that strengthen his ring IQ. For Paul, they remain untested territory. Many fans calling for an upset seem to overlook how many top-tier opponents Davis has methodically broken down through patience and precision. Experience, especially in critical moments, often becomes the deciding factor, and that's where Davis's advantage truly lies.
Jake Paul is not beating Tank Davis. Can't believe I actually have to make this video, but let's break this down. Fact that there's actually credible names in the boxing industry saying that Jake Paul's gonna KO Tank Davis is wild. Look, I know Tank Davis's last performance against Lamont Roach was not that good. And in recent years, he's devalued his stock as a fighter by cherry picking, being extremely inactive, and just straight up fighting lazy sometimes. But let's not forget the offensive powerhouse that Tank Davis is. When he's on, he's one of the best knockout punchers in the sport today. He usually fights very economical the first few rounds, whether that's by strategy or that's just a habit he's had ever since he started boxing. But he starts out very slow in the first few rounds. But once he starts to let his hands go and that snowball starts running downhill, there's almost nothing in the sport of boxing that can stop that. You need a guy who has elite defense to be able to stop an offensive assault like that. Only guys like Shakur Stevenson, Jaron Ennis, and maybe Devin Haney have the ability to stop that. And then we have Jake Paul. Yes, he's 6'2". Yes, he's going to be 200 pounds in the ring. But as you can see with his fight with Tommy Fury, he has poor defense. Whenever he faces another boxer who actually knows what they're doing, once they let their hands go, Jake doesn't know what to do. He's not comfortable defending, whether that's moving his feet or moving his head or just having a tight high guard. He doesn't do it. He gets fatigued and starts dropping his hands, and that would be fine if he had good movement to make up for it, but he doesn't. He has some pretty decent offense, but he mainly throws punches and combinations for the first 4 or 5 rounds and then gets fatigued. He's not a true one-punch knockout artist, and he's not a very good strategic fighter either when it comes to winning decisions. So what's going to happen is Jake Paul's going to throw combinations for the first 4 or 5 rounds, and then right when he gets tired, Tank's going to come on strong and start unloading with the hardest punches that Jake Paul has ever been hit with. And he'll get stopped. It might not be a one-punch knockout, but Jake Paul will get stopped.
Carl Froch, a highly respected former world champion, has voiced concern about the safety aspect of the upcoming matchup. His main worry centers on the considerable size difference between the two fighters, which he feels could pose real risks if not carefully managed. Froch noted that boxing organizations typically enforce strict weight divisions to prevent dangerous mismatches, and this fight appears to blur those lines. While he acknowledges that spectacle-driven events tend to attract large audiences, he also questions how much punishment a smaller fighter can reasonably endure against a naturally stronger opponent. Coming from a veteran who has survived some of the sport's toughest wars, Froch's comments carry significant weight.
I mean, I don't really take Jake Paul that serious. He can't really box. He can have a little fight, he can have a swing. He swings away, stands up straight, and he throws punches, but it's not professional boxing. Because when I watch him box, he does so much wrong. It's just, everything's wrong. It's so bad. He's got leaky defense. He telegraphs his punches. Like, you put him in with someone his own size, it was a professional, and it's a mismatch. And you'll see that if he ends up fighting somebody. Tommy Fury, bless him, he's a pro boxer, but he's inexperienced. He's got no amateur pedigree. He's a raw novice, or maybe just above the raw novice. I was saying earlier, where would I put him in terms of levels? He'd do well to win a British title. He's at that sort of level. And then from British title to world level, it's like different worlds. It's like totally different. It's like a different sport.
Analysts following Gervonta Davis's training camp have noticed a level of focus that clearly shows how seriously he's approaching this fight. There's no room for playfulness or distraction. Every session has a purpose. His preparation reflects the mindset of a fighter who fully understands what's at stake. Experts emphasize that this bout represents more than just another paycheck. A victory over Jake Paul would place Davis before a massive global audience that closely follows Paul's every move, offering exposure well beyond the traditional boxing fan base and opening doors to even bigger opportunities in the future. With those rewards in sight, Davis appears determined to make a definitive statement. His coaches report that every punch is thrown with intent, his conditioning has been pushed to its peak, and every minute in the gym is treated as an essential investment.
Press conference, and you can just look at him and tell, like, no, this dude he's gonna get this money for sure, because there's so much money out there to be had. But Jake Paul better be not playing around, man. Not get cute, not play any games. Don't hit him in the back of the head. Don't rabbit punch him. Don't do any of that stuff, man, because Mike Tyson, first of all, a lot of people think Mike Tyson was pulling punches on Jake Paul, and a lot of people think that Anderson Silva was pulling punches on him too. You're not going to have a little Gervonta out there pulling punches on you, man, if you're out there playing games. So, I don't like the fight at all. However, as far as it being an entertaining situation, I almost guarantee you that fight itself is going to be entertaining. That it's going to be something that you look at and you're going to say, man, everybody's going to watch it. Everybody's going to want to know what happens in it. But at the same time, it's kind of like what people think, when you see a car crash, like you're driving down the road and all of a sudden the traffic gets heavy and you're like, man, I'm going to be in traffic for a long time. And then you drive forward a little bit and then you see, oh man, this is some accident on the other side of the road and everybody just slowing down to watch. That's the type of entertainment that you can expect from this fight between Gervonta Davis and Jake Paul. There's going to be a lot of people watching it, but I gotta say, man, you really can't blame the guy on what he's doing. And there's a lot of criticism flying on Gervonta Davis. It's not Gervonta Davis's fault that boxing took this turn. This turn of these exhibition fights and people not caring about the belts and all of that stuff.
Teofimo Lopez, one of the sport's most promising young champions, views this event primarily as a smart business move. He pointed out that not every fight has to carry historical importance or championship implications. Sometimes it's simply about giving the market what it wants. According to Lopez, both fighters are responding intelligently to the demand for entertainment-driven matchups. He believes boxers deserve chances to secure their financial futures while broadening their fan reach. As long as they deliver an exciting show, fans get the value they paid for.
Very happy for Gervonta and Jake. I really am, man. It's good for the sport in some way,
So a heavyweight versus a lightweight.
Yeah.
You got a fly hit me, yeah. A heavyweight versus a lightweight. How's this gonna work?
Hey, they make it work. It's an exhibition for a reason. So, they know what they're doing. And, shout out to Netflix and shout out to both of them, honestly. Like I said, I think a lot of people in the boxing world are kind of upset. I could care less. I think they're going to go out there and make their money. It falls on the number 8 for a reason. They're going to make a lot of money.
Have you got a prediction for that fight?
My prediction? A show. A show.
Well, clearly it's a show, but when you've got a lot of people underestimating Jake Paul once again, but when you've got a heavyweight boxer who knows how to throw punches and knows the basics against a lightweight, it's quite a difference. I mean, have you sparred heavyweights before?
Yeah.
For competitive sparring in the ring?
Yeah, it's not the same. It's not the same, not at all. Definitely got to move. I've actually played around a few times, went through between their legs just to duck around. But yeah, because they're taller, you know. But I think for that competition, that fight, it reminds me a lot like The Big Show, and Floyd Mayweather when they fought in WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And will that end the same way?
Possibly. Maybe some brass knuckles in there too.
Can you see Jake Paul knocking out Gervonta Davis?
It's boxing, man. And if it's a show like this, anything goes, anything happens.
The weight difference between the two fighters has become one of the most discussed aspects of this matchup, and analysts continue to debate how much it could influence the outcome. Many experts point out that Jake Paul enters the fight with a clear physical edge, suggesting that if he's able to land his power shots cleanly, it could pose serious challenges for Gervonta Davis. They argue that size and strength remain undeniable factors in combat sports and can't simply be dismissed. On the other hand, several analysts believe Davis possesses the technical skill, defensive sharpness, and precise timing needed to overcome that gap. They insist that boxing isn't determined by body type or muscle mass, it's dictated by execution, experience, and tactical.
It is happening. WBA lightweight champion Gervonta Davis, who's unbeaten in 31 professional contests, takes on the self-proclaimed problem child, Jake Paul, one of the most influential and marketable global personalities. Paul and Davis square off in Miami after doubts around the fight being sanctioned in Georgia triggered a change in venue. Neither fighter can weigh more than 195 pounds. The weight is perhaps the most surprising factor. Paul has boxed most of his career around 200 pounds, the cruiserweight limit, but did tip the scales at 227 pounds when he faced off against Iron Mike Tyson last year. Davis, much smaller in stature, competes at the 135 pound mark and has also won world honours at super featherweight.
And despite some discussions about possibly dropping down to 10 ounces, the pair seem set to wear 12-ounce gloves.
And in terms of distance, despite the exhibition tag, the fight will play out over 10 3-minute rounds with 3 scoring judges at ringside, but the result will not be officially recorded on their professional records.
Carl Froch has doubled down on his concerns, issuing stronger warnings about the potential risks of a fight involving such a large size gap between competitors. He noted that athletic commissions usually enforce strict rules to prevent dangerous mismatches, emphasizing that these guidelines exist for a reason. Froch cautioned that taking full power shots from a naturally stronger fighter could pose serious risks, even for someone with elite skill and defense. He pointed out that the smaller man in this scenario likely hasn't experienced the kind of raw force that comes from a much heavier opponent. While proper technique and movement can help reduce damage, Froch stressed that unpredictable moments are always possible in boxing.